How is living the Christian life like a cruise ship? Find out in this episode of 5 Minutes Closer. I'm Vaughn Weatherford, and this is 5 Minutes Closer. For the next 5 minutes, let's explore some biblical truths and apply them to your life. No podcast, including this one, can transform your life or give you what you really need. Only Jesus can do that. You can find out why in what I've called the first five episodes of 5 Minutes Closer. Each following episode explores scriptural truths that, if you follow them, will bring you 5 minutes closer to the person God created you to be. Let's see if we can get you 5 minutes closer. I recently went on an Alaskan cruise. If you ever have the chance to go, I highly recommend it. It is an amazing experience. God did some really good work when He created Alaska. On the cruise ship, I learned some things I hope to model in my own life. For one thing, the people who work on cruise ships know how to do hospitality. I've never trained for a cruise, but I'm pretty sure part of their training is to help the employees know what their number one job is. Their job is not to fold towels. Their job is to do whatever needs to be done to make the experience the very best for each and every cruise passenger. As I walked through the ship, whenever a cruise passenger needed something, all of the cruise workers, whether they were working in a store, whether they were doing food service, whether they were cleaning the rooms, they would stop whatever they were doing and immediately take care of whatever it was the passenger needed. That's because they understood their job was not to fold towels. Their job was to take care of whatever the passenger needed. Did that make it harder to get the towels folded? Well, no doubt it probably did. But they understood job number one: giving the passengers an amazing cruise experience. As believers, we need to understand our job number one. Jesus described it as the greatest commandment: to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then He added in Matthew 22, and a second is like it: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. Peter no doubt remembered how Jesus described the importance of loving your neighbor was like the importance of loving God. In other words, it's really important. So Peter writes in 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 8 through 10, "Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace." Do we really understand how important loving others is to our Christian walk? Or are we like the priest and the Levite in Jesus' parable of the Good Samaritan? They were so wrapped up in their religious obligations that they failed to stop and render aid to a man bleeding in the middle of the road. How often do we fail to do job number one because we're too busy doing job number 47? I used to watch the old I Love Lucy shows, and I remember one episode in which Lucy wanted to be a part of Ricky's stage act. So she dressed up like one of his dancers. Everything's going well until the hat that was part of the dancer's costume starts to fall off of Lucy's head. In her effort to catch it, she trips and knocks down an entire line of dancers. God has gifted all of us to be a part of His amazing plan. When we use those gifts to love God and love others, amazing things happen. When we depart from God's plan, we wind up tripping not only ourselves, but those around us. Are we willing to do job number one: to love God and to love others? Sometimes that may seem to interfere with what we think is important. We may not get the towels folded as quickly as we want, but what we will accomplish is far greater. As we serve each other, we become stewards of nothing less than God's varied grace. Loving others is important. You can do it. And now you're 5 minutes closer. My prayer is that these 5 minutes have challenged you, inspired you, and caused you to consider applying God's message for your life from His Word. To find out more, visit our website at 5minutescloser.com. Join me next time to see if we can get you 5 minutes closer.